Good morning. It's 9 a.m. Friday, February 23, 2024. Welcome to the Good News Live at 9 on Facebook and available later on our YouTube channel. Please be sure to comment in the chat. This is a presentation of the Allen Park Presbyterian Church. 2020. Good morning, everyone. I'm echoing. I'm Suzan Maxey. I'm an elder at Allen Park Pres. And my co-host is Kerri Van, and she's running all the good stuff in the background because she's a certified social media expert, the communications manager at APPC, and she's moderator of the Deacons. So good morning, Kerri. We got it all.
Good morning, Sue. And I look so unprofessional because I'm looking in a different direction, but I wanted to make sure that we were live everywhere we needed to be. So good morning to you as well. Good morning to you as well. And to everyone who's watching with us.
And we have a guest we want to get in here really quickly. So we're going to go through our announcements pretty quickly. One of the first things I wanted to mention is that we are in the season of
Lent.
We are in Lent.
The 40 days of Lent, not including Sunday.
So are you doing anything special or different? If so, please share in the chat.
Yes, feel free to put any of your Lenten disciplines or things you've taken on. We'd love to see your comments on what you're doing so far.
Yeah, so are you denying yourself some pleasure, or are you giving up a bad habit, or developing a new habit or a project to do good for yourself or someone else? And how are you preparing for Easter?
Yes, I'm always denying myself the pleasure of sugar and chocolate, Sue.
Yeah.
So
so am I. It doesn't work, but yeah, so am I.
Right.
So another thing that's going on, and of course, this isn't just for Lent. Our friends up the street, the Elks, they have the Friday night fish fry. So if that works in with your Lenten principles, it's every Friday from 5 to 8. And the Elks Club is located on Park Avenue at Philomene, I believe.
And fish fries are very popular on Fridays in Lent, Sue.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Very popular. So you can go right down the street in Allen Park from the church and get your fish fry. Morning, everyone. Lots of people joining us, Sue.
Yeah, good.
All right.
So we have some upcoming events, grief share workshops. You can talk from February 29th to May 30th. You can talk about that more, can't you, Kerri?
Yes. Right. Now is definitely the time to sign up. The leader is Norma Bentley and I am her co-leader. It's a 13-week grief recovery group. Norma's been doing this for 17 years. I've been with her for 3. We've seen it help people tremendously. And it's got brand new videos by experts, small group discussion. And I can't stress how important it is if you're going through this journey to join us. It's on our website. It's not too late to sign up. If you have any questions, reach out to Norma or to me and we'll let you know anything you need to know. That starts next Thursday. Ken Wood said, yep, 6601 for the Elks. What's our 7101 for the church? All right. Good morning, everyone. I can't say good morning, Sue, because there's too many people watching. Isn't that a good problem?
All right. It's a great problem. All right. And I'm sure they're here for the guests. So
yes.
One more thing, and that's our pause donations.
Yep. We are still looking for dog and cat food. People give us all kinds of donations. That's what we're focusing on right now. So if you want to give, you can just bring to the church during normal business hours. And there's a box, a small box. You wouldn't think it's doing so much good, but it's done a lot of ministry because we rotate through all the local animal shelters. All right. Thanks for sharing that graphic, Sue. Appreciate that.
So I believe we are going to get our guest in here.
Hey, let's get Dr. Tom McKeown in here. Giving him a second to log in. And I don't see anybody posting about Lenten. We'll focus on that next week.
There we are. Good
There
morning.
we are. Good morning, Tom.
How are you all?
We are wonderful, and we are so excited to have you as our guest today.
Yes, we are.
Oh, thank you.
So we had a guest last week who has the same last name. Are you possibly related?
We are. That would be my wife, Mary Ann. Yes.
Oh,
Nice.
so many great reviews on her interview last week, so we appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Hey, nice backgrounds, guys. I like it.
Yeah, mine's the ocean. Sue's is more advertising our show, but hey, we can all dream, right?
Yes.
All right, so we are interested in finding out a little bit more about you. Of course, I've done some research and very
Oh, boy.
surprised. I know. Don't worry, I've got pages of it, but I'm not crazy. I knew this, but I'm sure people would be surprised to find out that you went to medical school when you were 40 years old after being a paramedic, EMT.
Yes, in
Several
fact,
careers though, right?
yeah, this is what, third career or fourth career. So I lived in Massachusetts for a while and got my degree at University of Massachusetts in Boston. And then I moved to Michigan for a job in 1978 and taught high school for a year. And then I went to work for a company called Leonard Syrups, which I think a lot of you see the colorful trucks. I did some managing operations for them. The company delivered equipment for bars and things like that. And then I went and got my EMT license in 1979. I was working as a trainer for a high school team and decided I need some more education. And then finally, I worked for an ambulance company and then changed and went to work for Detroit EMS in 1986. And so while I was on that job, I went back to school. At 35 years old, I started taking science classes, general chemistry, things like that, just because I thought I'd want to do something more than stay on the fire department. And then my buddies were like, hey, you should try to go to med school. And I'm like, nah. And they're like, oh, come on, just take the test. So I took the test on a Saturday morning, and then I interviewed at Wayne State University, and they said, well, you did well on the test. Welcome. In between that, while I was on the fire department, I actually went and got a master's in molecular biology. I'm a published researcher. While I was on the fire department, I would work weekends, and then I would work in my lab with a mentor Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So I kind of was used to being busy. Then I went to med school, and I was the oldest in my class of 250. So I went to Wayne, graduated from Wayne in 2000, and I always knew I wanted to be an emergency medicine physician. I mean, they ask you when you start, so what do you think you want to do in medicine? And I'm like, oh, I'm only here to be an ER doc. There was no other reason to go. If I can't do that, I don't know why I'm here.
Wow.
And so that's what I did for 4 years. I just went through, did the rotations. And then I went to Henry Ford Hospital for my residency. So you spend 3 years in a residency learning emergency medicine. And then I finished that in 2003. And then I came to Wyandotte, and I was at Wyandotte ever since.
Where did you find the motivation to keep trying new things and double duty on everything and just going for it? Where do you get that kind of drive from? Everyone wants that kind of drive.
I found it interesting. I like to read, and I just like doing stuff. And I think the other thing that helped me along the way is I had mentors, physician mentors, as well as mentors in Wayne State University, and that who would say, well, you can do this, And the thing that's interesting in high school, I remember the guy who interviewed me at Wayne State said, you know, I've been doing this for 20 years. I've never interviewed someone who didn't take a science class as an undergraduate. And I said to him, well, I don't like science. I don't want to take those classes. And he goes, well, how'd you do in high school? I go, let's see. I got a C- in chemistry and a D in physics. He's like, really? I go, yeah, I didn't like science. I like biology a little bit, but I didn't really like science. So I think what I did is I knew I just kept taking classes, and the more I took them, the more interesting they were. And so I just kept doing well. I mean, like my master's, I graduated with a 4.0. So, I mean, I just, you know, I went to Wayne. So I like to read, but I also, as you get older, if I had tried to do this when I was 22, I could tell you I would not have been as dedicated. But when you're older and you have to do things, you learn to make time and really get devoted, and you manage your time much better in my 30s and 40s than I did in my 20s. Yeah.
I think that's an inspiring message for anyone who's younger that's struggling with what to do with their life. I mean, what a great story of getting involved in so many, many different things.
And I think the point I tell people when I tell people the story is, don't worry about that you don't know what you want to do at 25. I was working in a company that was a good company, Leonard's, but I knew I didn't want to do that the rest of my life. So then I just decided to go back to school, first taking the EMT classes, which kind of got me interested in medicine. And then I realized I needed more science and other stuff. And so don't be afraid to go back to school. Pursue what you're interested in, and that will become your career. And it becomes the same thing in my career as a physician. All I wanted to do is just go be an ER doc, be the best ER doc I could be. So I got there in 2003. I can tell you this story. And so I was there, and after a year, they had an opening for an assistant director, and the guy comes to me and says, hey, I need an assistant director. Do you want to do it? And I go, no, I've been working all my life. He goes, well, come on, just try it. It's one day a month. I go, oh, okay, I'll try it for 6 months. So I tried it for 6 months, and then 2 years later, I'm the director. And then a year after that, I'm the chair. And then a year after that, I'm in charge of, 2 years after that, I'm in charge of all the EMS people in all of Wayne County, because I'm the medical director for HEMS. And then I became the stroke medical director at the hospital. And then I became the quality director. And I just kept, the point is, people would ask me, hey, would you like to try this? And I always said, well, I'll give it a try for 6 months. That was, my dad kind of taught me that. Try something out for 6 months. If it doesn't really work for you, the fit doesn't work for you, or the whatchamacallit, or you just don't feel like you're contributing anything, then tell them thanks. You'll always pick up something you'll learn, and then go back and do something else.
I mean, I think your 6-month plan really worked, because I was reading that you excelled Wyandotte Hospital from like a small rural hospital into like a stroke center and a trauma center, and
Right.
obviously made a huge difference in the hospital's legacy.
I had lots of help. I had lots of mentors there that helped me, and part of it. I was reading a story yesterday. I read a lot still. And this guy said that a leader needs to do two things with his people. He needs to love them, and that they feel valued. And I think that was my leadership style. For a while there at the hospital in the emergency department, they used to call me the ER dad, because they were all younger than me, the nurses, the doctors. And I would do this look over the eyeglass thing sometimes when they were doing stuff, and they're like, uh-oh, Dad's not liking what's going on. And then I wouldn't, if I had to make a change, we would go off in the corner and talk about it. But they always knew I cared about them. And they always knew that I thought they were the greatest team in the world. And then on Wednesday mornings, I brought a 40-pack of Timbits when I came to work at 10 o'clock.
That goes a long way. That food goes a long way.
40-pack of Timbits. Yep.
Wow. Yeah, they some people were quoting that like your skills in team leadership and getting people to work together are just phenomenal, and that was a great explanation on why. Love your people and take care of them.
Right.
Love your people and take care of them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in our research, we found something when you were talking about your dad that said your father's wisdom echoes in your work. Quote, "You are blessed with talent, use it to give back." So
Yes,
that was written about you when you won the 2018 Joseph L. Callahan Award. So what is that award about?
so the hospital leadership, the president and the chief of the medical staff pick a physician whose qualities of leadership and caring for patients represents the best in physicians. Joseph Callahan was a physician at Henry Ford Wyandotte for decades and was the epitome of that person, cared for his patients, but other physicians thought that he was a true leader. And so they started giving that out. And I remember, it's a funny story. I got called on a Wednesday morning, Dr. Lemansky and Denise want to see you in the office at 7:30. And I'm like, oh man, what happened? What happened
Called
yesterday?
to the principal's office, eh?
Right. So I'm thinking, oh man, okay, well, I don't think anything happened. I worked yesterday. Everything went well. Everything's good. I didn't get any phone calls last night. So I went down there at 7:30 and I go, okay, Denny, what's going on? And he says, and then Denise comes in and then a bunch of other people come in and they go, you've been selected for the Cahalan Award. And I'm like, oh my God, really? I was astonished. I had never. And then when people go, how do you get there? And I remember specifically my dad and my brothers and were there, and my wife and all my kids were there at the award ceremony. And I said, I and all the rest of my brothers and sisters learned this from my father. He used to tell us, you're blessed. You're blessed to be born to a family that is doing well. You have talent. You are smart. You are encouraged to do well. And so as you go through life, you have to give back. And my father led by example. So he was on boards. He was with the Boy Scouts. My dad was the least Boy Scout person you've ever met in your life. He didn't like to hunt. He didn't like to fish. He didn't like to camp. But he knew how to run a business, and the Boy Scouts in Massachusetts were having a big problem. And so he took over leadership for almost 10 years and got the Silver Beaver Award for doing that.
Wow.
Yeah, and so he just led all. And today, if you look at my brothers and sister, we all do that. We're heavily involved in our communities, in nonprofits, in giving back, in volunteer. He's like, well, that's what you have to do. And so as I'm retired, my wife's like, man, you have too many things to do. I haven't slowed down any. Everybody's like, well, you have more time. And so I'm currently, I'm on 4 boards in the Downriver area, counting the trustees at the church. And
That's
right.
Well,
Yeah,
of course,
keeps
you
me.
chair the Capital Campaign Committee, also known as the Enough for All campaign.
Yes. So it keeps me busy. It keeps me engaged with the community, which I think is kind of important. And I'm happy that people think that I can bring something to that. That's good.
a funny story about giving back. I remember your fellowship group was doing ChristNet, and I've been involved with ChristNet the whole time I've been at the church, but I've been in charge of it since 2011. And I remember before I really knew you, I just remember you sitting and chopping vegetables and with someone else, like for the meal. And I, thinking back, it's like, I didn't even know that you were like a busy ER doctor, and like here you are like chopping vegetables and working at ChristNet with us. And I also remember calling you at the beginning of the pandemic when one of my kids had COVID, and I was just so honored that you called me back. I mean, you must have
Oh,
been so swamped and in such an chartered territory. So I always remember that too. And I love serving on
okay.
the campaign with you. So I
Yes.
appreciate little personal stories there.
Ditto.
Yes,
Yeah.
ditto. Yeah.
No, it's
So
fun.
does anybody have any questions for Tom? We have a lot of people watching. I think they're just enthralled with
Oh.
the story. I,
Oh,
I
I
just
want to hear the story about the Leonard syrups and the truck wraps.
Oh, so the funny part, so we used to, when I started Leonard, we had a fleet of trucks, and we just had a little on the front door, it said Leonard syrups and little tiny letters and a phone number. And I used to say, man, we should advertise. These are rolling billboards, right? So we hired a graphic artist to come up with three
Ta-da!
designs. Ta-da. And
ta-da.
he came up with one that had a wide 6-inch blue stripe all around the trucks that said Leonard syrups and the phone number. And then he hired one that had a few lines on it. And then he came up with the design that you see today, which is a ribbon from the truck all across the back and says Leonard syrups, a rainbow of flavors. And I remember bringing the designs to it's a father and son who owned the company, Leonard and his dad. And Leonard, the younger, and I thought it was great. We just thought that it was bright and beautiful, and you couldn't miss it. And his dad goes, I think it's a circus wagon. I said, well, let me paint it on one small truck. We'll just paint it. We'll drive it around. So we put it on the truck. We're driving around. Leonard Sr. goes to a meeting, the Lions Club or Rotary or something. Guy says to him, hey, Leonard, I saw your truck. Oh, my God. I spotted that thing a mile away. That looks great. He comes back. He goes, paint them all.
It's like you said, trying it for 6 months. You just tried it with one and
Right.
won him over. Right?
Oh, one of the things I wanted to share today was my wife, I know, talked about being part of Shipmates and how Allen Park has invited, because I joined because of my wife. I met Mary Ann at the hospital. She was divorced. I was in the process of getting divorced, and then we became a couple, and then we joined the church. That's how I came. And then we joined a group called Shipmates, which is a married couples group, not just married, but a group of people around the same age. And that was fun. We got together, but it still wasn't, we only met, and it was always that. And then I found out that there was another thing called the Women's Circle, which my wife belonged to. So Dan Sobieski called me up one day and said, hey, do you play golf? I go, no. He goes, well, good, because I do, but not well, so it'll be perfect. So there's a couple of us that are retired, and we'd like to play, and we thought we'd invite you. And I'm like, okay. So we started this group of men who were all in Shipmates. And on Wednesdays, when they would go, the women would go to their circle meeting, we would go play golf in the afternoon and then go to lunch. And it was Dan, Dave Long, Ardale, Randy Whitney, and myself. And then, so there was like 5 of us, and we could usually get, 3 to 4 of us together once a month to play golf during the summer and maybe every other week. And then we got done with that. We liked it so much that we decided that we should still do this in the wintertime. And then we're like, well, we're not the golf guys. What are we going to call ourselves? Dan says, well, the women call themselves a circle. We should be a spear.
Men's spear clubs. That's what
isn't that hilarious? And so
that is hilarious.
So we would get together, and the women would go to lunch. We would go to a movie and lunch. We would go bowling. We actually all bought bowling bowling balls and shoes one year. We had them engraved with our name. It was hilarious. And then we would continue. And the interesting part about this, for those of you that are online that belong to this, we started inviting other members of the church that we knew played golf as they retired, and then they could invite friends. And today, the group is about 18 to 20 people. And we play every Friday throughout the season. Bob Swed took over as the commish. Dan was the original commish. Bob Swed has taken over as commish. And Bob gets tee times and says who's in and who's out. And then anywhere from 8 to 12 people sign up, and we go to different golf courses and we hang out together. And I think it's been a wonderful way for me to get to know the men in the church better that were part of this group, the shipmates. It's just been great. It's created great friendships and stuff like that. And then through that, some of us on the shipmates even have traveled together to a variety of places over the years, to Europe and Alaska. And so I think that's the value. And I wanted to make that's the value of groups like that in the church. You put a bunch of people who are similar. Our kids were all in college at that time, and now we all have grandkids. And so we get to talk about things that are important to us, and it introduces you to people who have similar interests that you do. And I think that's a huge value in the church. And so I wanted to let everybody know that the shipmates and the circles, I think, and the spheres have great value.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Fellowship is a huge part of church, and it's not to be missed. And there's so many different things that you can be involved in. We just all all of us here are highly involved in many things. And I can't speak, they're with you through the good, the bad, the ugly, the celebrations in life. And it just makes your experience better having close relationships with other.
Absolutely.
Thanks for that shout out. That was great.
Yes. Well, like people think our church is so big and is not personal, but it's the small groups like this that help us connect to the bigger church too. So
that's exactly it, Sue. Yes. Yep.
Right.
That's what matters.
Is there anything else that you'd like to? You want to talk about a campaign? You want to talk about anything else?
Well, I think the campaign, the interesting part when Tim came to me and said, hey, we're going to run this campaign and we'd like you to be in charge, be the chair
months,
to get everybody right. Yeah, I said, okay, I can do that. I told him, I said, I can do that for 6 months. 6 months. I'll take anything out for 6 months. So guess what? We're coming up on 6 months.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Have to decide to continue or not. I think it has gone over really well. I think the idea of putting a variety of people together and coming up with how are we going to make the church better, physically better, because it has to be attractive if you're going to invite people in. If you invite people into your house, you fix your house up, you make things look nice and stuff like that, and people go, oh, this is really nice. So I think that was the first point. Get things done that need to be done. And I appreciate all the members. As I said that Sunday morning, we have 8 pages of things that need to be done. But in less than 6 months, man, look around. Whoa, light shining through the stained glass. There's roofs on the camp. The dining room and the kitchen are painted and everything's working. And we've got a variety more projects in the queue, as I call it. There's things in the queue. I think in the next year or two, people are going to see even more stuff. And I think we're getting excitement. And, part of growth is you got to be excited about the place that you belong to. If you're not excited, I don't know why you would want to participate, contribute, but it's exciting. And I'm hoping that this excitement continues and just gets people like, wow, this is an active, growing church community. that does all these things. And so we should support them with our time, our talent, and then our money.
Exactly. I was at church, I think, wasn't last week, it was the week before. And Matt Carlson took me over to look at the dining room. And I was with a couple other people and we just stood there. We were like just touching the walls. We're just like looking around. We're like, do we really get to do Christ on in this beautiful room? And
Right.
then I heard that the session approved fixing up the hallway because it was like walking through the
Right.
shadow of death to get to the beautiful room. There's the before picture. Sue is showing it. And there's so many things in the kitchen that we can't even tell you. Look how beautiful it is.
I know. It's great.
It's just so gorgeous. And the kitchen, I mean, we have worked in there under dire circumstances, and that's getting repaired. It is very exciting. Very, very exciting. And all we're asking for is $1 a day so we can pay it all back in 5 years and keep going. So
Exactly. Yep.
Pat Clemens from Team Wade said, takes a team to make the dream. You got that right. Kip Horvath said, great interview. Golf season isn't too far away. Susan Hughes said, awesome getting to know Dr. Tom better. And Norma Bentley said the same thing. So Tom, thank you so much. I'm glad it's not golf season right now because you guys probably have something to do real soon. Appreciate you taking out time today.
Well, from what I understand, you play golf even in the wintertime. There's some place where you can go play sports, right?
Well, yeah, that's why I'm actually in Florida, and we are planning on playing today. We have a tee time at 3:00, actually with another of our shipmates friend, Marcia Dunn, is joining us. So we're doing what we do. We're going to go play golf, then have a bite to eat afterwards. Yep.
Fantastic. Oh, Tom, so great.
Tell Kip I'm working on my game.
All right, Kip, you better watch out because he's working on his game down in Florida. Nancy Horvath said, enjoy listening to you, Tom.
Well,
all
thank
right,
you.
Stu, do you want to take us out and share a scripture that we picked for?
Yep. One I picked is the one actually that we use for the capital campaign, and that is
Perfect.
Genesis chapter 33, verse 11. Take, I pray you, my blessing that is brought to you, because God has dealt graciously with me, and because I have enough.
Perfect.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Thank you, Sue. I think that's I was talking to my family the other night, and I said, so what do you guys call this? Enough for all. And my nephew goes, that's awesome. Enough for all. It says it. It's a short phrase that captures exactly what you're looking for.
Absolutely. Thank you again, Tom. We appreciate you.
You're welcome. Thank you. It's a pleasure chatting with you guys. Have a good day.
Enjoy your coffee.
I will. Yes. Bye-bye.
Bye, Tom.
And if you'd like to learn more about the good news of Jesus Christ, please be sure to join Pastor Tim for devotions live at 9 a.m. Monday through Thursday on Facebook, and join us Sundays at 10 a.m. for worship. It's live streamed on Facebook and YouTube, or you could come in person to our beautiful sanctuary in Allen Park, Michigan, where our stained glass windows have had all the TLC they need, and the light shines in just beautifully. And hopefully soon you'll see the light shine out too. So if you would like to be guests with us on your certain Friday, pick a Friday and let us know, and we'll pencil you in and have you come on. We hope you will join us next Friday for the Good News Live at 9 a.m. And remember, you are a beloved child of God. God loves you, and so do we. Have a wonderful week, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so much for being with us today. Have a great day.